Hi, this is Daniel Grove, and I want to talk with you about why it's a bad idea to charge hourly for portrait photography. So I'm very active in a number of Facebook groups for photography, both locally for my city, neighboring cities, and nationwide groups. And I see this all the time where someone that's not a photographer joins the group so they can find a photographer, right? Nothing wrong with that. The problem is a lot of photographer responses that I see where someone posts saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a photographer for my family or for my kid or for my senior or for whatever." And these photographers jump in. Some of them will give hourly quotes for their services. That's all they say. They'll say, "Well, I charge," the person will ask, "How much do you charge?" And they just say $50 an hour or $100 an hour or, God forbid, $20 an hour, something like that. And I think that these photographers think that they're actually making $50 for that 1 hour of the photo shoot. But what they're not accounting for is the other hours that play into the fact that you are making a photo shoot happen. The editing, the planning, the communication, the driving, all of that stuff adds up. And in the end, I think some of these photographers are only making about $5 to $10 an hour. Which is just really not worth your time for photography. I believe that we should have a higher pay than a fast food restaurant. Sue me if you disagree, but I'll disagree with you because I think that art is special. I think that photography is a very technical and special form of art that not everyone can do. Getting paid $10 to $20 an hour isn't that bad if you're working a 40-hour work week, but we are not. We may get 1 to 2 hour photo shoots a week, especially newer photographers, which I'm assuming these usually are amateur and newer photographers charging these hourly rates. And so it just ends up to being chump change, and it is not worth your time. So if you're doing that, hear me out. Please listen to this video. Don't be offended. If you have questions, write them down and ask me in the comments. I promise I'll answer every single one of them. I'm very good at that. I just hope to help you reach a new level or just gain a better perspective as to what you're charging for and what you're delivering to the client. Now, before I go any further, I need to give you the disclaimer. This is for portrait photography, right? It's up in the title up there, right? This is for portrait photographers, families, seniors, babies, kids, maternity, all that stuff that has to do with people. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about weddings. I'm not talking about events. I'm not talking about live events. Those are a different deal. You're charging hourly rates for those because the amount of work that you do is dictated initially by how many hours the event is. You generally will be delivering most of the photos you take at an event, even in weddings. I deliver about, 60, 70, 80% of the photos that I take. I think that's pretty normal for most photographers. But portrait photography is a totally different animal and it works differently. You're not delivering every photo you take. If you are, stop it. Don't do that to yourself and don't do that to your client. What you're doing is you're flooding them with a whole bunch of photos, most of which look similar. There's only a few standout ones that are mixed into that batch. But what you want to do is focus on quality over quantity. So what's more important, a whole bunch of photos or really good photos? You can't really have both. I'd rather give my clients 10 mind-blowing photos than 100 okay photos because quality is more important than quantity. And these days, us as well as our clients are swimming in digital files. They're everywhere. They're on our phones. There's photos everywhere, and there's just too many. They don't need 300 photos from their 1 hour photo shoot. Don't do that to them. So here's my first point as to why portrait photographers should not charge simply hourly for their work. Number one is, what about the other hours? I've already kind of covered this real quickly, but let's add up the actual hours that contribute to an average photo session. 30 minutes of communication time. Yep, I'm starting that early. Talking with them on Facebook Messenger, email, text messages. Hopefully there's a phone call in there too, or even better, a Zoom call to establish trust, to understand your client, and to plan a really awesome photo shoot that's perfect for what they need. So that's all time that you're spending for the job. So minimum 30 minutes. Hopefully there's more than that. I usually go up to about an hour, maybe 45 minutes. I like to do a phone call, go back and forth to get their expectations, also so they can understand how I do things because it's probably different than the other photographers they've used. So communication is huge. Do not skimp out on it because you'll regret it later. So half an hour for communication. I'm going to say 1 hour for driving time. Now you're probably saying, "Oh, come on, you can't charge for the time you spend driving." Yes, you can. And yes, you should. That's how business works. The IRS even has a standard for business travel time. I think it's per mile. It's like, last time I checked, it was like 58 cents per mile. Start with just 50 cents a mile. It makes it much easier. Or just to make things simpler, remember to include the average drive time to a photo shoot. I'm just going to say 30 minutes. I live in a big city, San Antonio. It's only like 3 million people here. It's pretty big. You can drive for about an hour and maybe get to the other side of town. But that time is money and that time is important. So I'm going to say 1 hour total drive time, there and back included. Next number we're adding up is 2 hours of on-location time. Now you probably said, wait a second, I thought we were talking about an average 1 hour photo shoot, and we are. But let's be honest, you're never just shooting for 1 hour. You get there early to set up, to look around the location, find a good spot. You wait for them. You want to be there first. When it's over, don't just pack up and say bye and leave. Talk with them. Walk them to their car. Have a good conversation, give them a realistic time frame as to when they'll hear back from you, when the photos will be done, all that stuff. Have a good relationship with them and end it well. So I'm going to say 2 hours on location, even if the photo shoot is just 1 hour. Next is the uploading and exporting time. Now, uploading them to your computer might take 15, 20 minutes. Sorting them, going through them, that's up to at least 30 minutes. And then exporting them and uploading them online to deliver. Hopefully you're using an online delivery service and not CDs or DVDs or USB drives, because let's be honest, discs are already on their way out. I think in 5 to 10 years, there will not be any normal USB drives to use for the types of drives that we have right now. Everything will be USB-C or D or E or whatever else it is. So that time is money as well. So I'm going to say 1 hour for that, split in half, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there for import and then the exporting part. And then lastly, minimum 2 hours editing. Newer photographers, which is kind of who this is targeted towards, will usually edit a bit slower because they're just newer to the program, or God forbid they're editing all the pictures. Again, don't do that to yourself. You don't need to edit every photo. Pick out 10 to 20 of the best and work on those and try to sell those. So I'm going to say minimum 2 hours. A lot of you are probably spending a little bit more time than if you added it really all up from a whole session. Could be 3 or 4 hours. So let's add up all those numbers. It's 6.5 hours for your 1 hour photo shoot. So don't say I'm getting $50 for this 1 hour photo shoot. You're really getting about $5 to $6 to $7 per hour because you just spent, a chunk of your week making this photo shoot happen. Before, during, and after. That's how you got to think of things, because that's business. We're all artists, hopefully, so we're not usually business people, but we need to kind of shift our mindset. If we want to last in photography, we want to be successful and move to new levels and be able to provide for our family and have a good future, you got to charge what you need to charge to live. If you're full-time. Now, this is a side job. It's a little different. But there's still no reason why you should undercut yourself, still charge full-time prices, because photography is still important, and hopefully you're still doing a great job, even though it's your side job. All right, number 2 is when people post these hourly quotes for their work, they're almost never explaining what's actually included in those hours. Now, as well as I think non-photographers, when they see an hourly rate, they think, oh, great, this photographer is going to capture my whole family for 1 solid hour. They're going to give me all these photos. It's going to be great. But that's not what you want to do. Again, quality over quantity, and it's kind of misleading because you should not be delivering every photo you take. You should only be delivering and even showing the best of the best photos that represent your style and your quality and good editing and all that stuff. So you need to explain, though, what is included. Are they getting 10 photos? Are they getting 30? It's not always said. So we'll get to this in the next point as to what I suggest you doing, kind of a solution, right? Different methods of pricing yourself that do make it worth your time. But you need to explain what they're getting and also what they're not getting. Do they have rights to print the photos? You may not care about that. You may care about that. Are they all posed photos? Are they candids? Are you using lighting or natural lighting? What time of day are you shooting? You need to explain some details so that they know what they're getting into when they sign up for a photo shoot with you. All right, let's move on to the last point of this video. What can you do? How should you price yourself? Here are 2 different pricing solutions for your business. The first one, which is the most profitable, is called IPS, or in-person sales. This is where you are basically selling individual photos as an individual product. Now, generally, this is aimed at prints. So this is great for families. This is great for child photography. This is great for seniors, where you're selling them prints for their home, prints for family gifts, albums for their house. This business plan has changed my life. It's changed how I do business. It has made things actually profitable, and as I like to say, sustainable, where I'm not kind of slowly drifting down, with an occasional bump, but overall going down and down and down. I'm going up. I'm increasing. I'm saving. I'm being able to provide for my family, and I'm having a good time doing it. And also, equally importantly, I'm providing a product to my clients that is invaluable, that they're going to have for the rest of their life. So that's why I believe in it. So IPS is great. So what you can do money wise is you can charge a session fee, which could be 150, could be 350, could be 500, and that money is basically covers all the hours that it takes to make the photo shoot happen properly. The communication, the planning, the driving, any fees involved with locations or rentals, all that stuff is prepaid for as a session fee to reserve that date for the photo shoot. But that doesn't include any photos. It doesn't include any prints. They actually buy prints on top of that based on what they want. If they only want one big print, that's all they have to buy. And that's all you have to really work on. It's just that one photo. And if they want to cover a whole wall with a collage of prints, big and small, and an album for mom and an album for dad, you can do that and you get paid for it. And you get paid very well if you price yourself sustainably. So IPS is a game changer and it's amazing. It doesn't fit for all types of photography. It doesn't fit for all types of portrait photography specifically, but for the types it does, it is awesome. It's good for you. It's good for them. And I'm a big fan of that. Okay, the second type of pricing strategy for portrait photographers is the digital only packages. This is what I did before I switched over to IPS. What I had 3 different packages. The first one was $175 for just 30 minutes and 10 photos. The middle package, number 2, was $250 for an hour and 20 pictures. And the third package was $350 for an hour and a half to 2 hours and 40 images, right? Really up in the ante up there to get them to upgrade, but they never did. In about 5 or more years of doing that type of business, I only booked like 2 or 3 of that large package, and it was very disappointing. I'm almost always got the small and occasionally the medium package. I guess it was just the client that I was reaching, the way I was presenting it. Digitals really don't have a lot of value because people have digitals everywhere and there's just more digitals. So it's not really unique or special. A print or an album, that's special and that has value. So that's why I focus on selling those. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the digital package. There's a lot of different ways to do that, but don't just give your client an hourly rate because you're not an event photographer. You're creating unique, personal, and emotional portraits that you hopefully want to give just a few really amazing ones because that's really what they need. And in a best case scenario, you're going to provide the prints and sell those as well. You can even hang them on their wall yourself. That's part of my service. I call it full service photography, and it is definitely a game changer. It helps you stand out from the crowd. That's another video right there. But those are the 2 basic ways of doing it. If you guys have any questions, please ask down below. I'd love to answer your questions. I promise I'll answer each and every one of them. I'm pretty good at that. I hope you didn't take this personal. I hope you didn't take this as an attack saying, I'm better than you or that I make more money than you. It's not about that at all. I want you to make more money than me. I want you to be successful. If you're a portrait photographer, I want you to succeed and be able to provide for your family and for your future and just grow. That's what it's all about. So if you have any questions, again, ask down below. And thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate it.